and the patriarchy was established. Well, the biblical Adam is equivalent to Atum and Adamu, which is Narmer or Menes, also called men. This is why the Christians say amen at the end of their prayers, because they're giving reverence to this God, men, right here, who's also a form of Jesus. He has a erected phallus because the phallus is linked to the pharaoh. The pharaoh rules under the phallus, the lineage of the testes, which is the male sexual organ. Prior to this, we was ruled under through the womb, which had a family crest, which links every last one of us to nature, which gave us our natural inheritance on earth based upon us coming from the womb of our mothers. So the first pharaoh represent the beginning of the New World Order, and the first two major empires to unite was Greece and Egypt. And you had a double crown came out of that unification when they was changing the time to be centered around those two pharaohs. They wore a double crown. You can see a version of it here on a god man's head. And that became the two testaments of the Bible. The word testament is what Christians do when they give a testimony, but it comes from the word testes, dealing with the male sexual organ. This is war energy. Prior to this, we didn't swear or have testimonies or faith-driven ideologies that was based around men or the patriarchy or the Pope. We had connections to nature and spirituality that kept order because we understood Ma'at and the law of karma. Then after this unification, when we open up the book of Genesis, it's called Genesis because it's the genetics. It's the genealogy of the pharaohs. It's the succession of the kings. The Bible is a book of lineages. This is why you can't get past a whole chapter without reading 50 pages of, Joseph begat Isaac, and Isaac begat David, and David begat Joshua, and Joshua begat this person, which was the son of that person, who had 3 daughters who begat Japhet, and Japhet begat, Shem, and Shem begat, and the Bible go on and on telling you who begat who, because it's keeping track of a bloodline, of a royal lineage that started back here in Greco-Egyptian time in Hellenistic Egypt, when they was crafting this Hellenistic religion that became to be Christianity today. So those two testaments in the Bible are the two bloodlines of the two rulers of the beginning of the New World Order. The New World Order is about unifying the world powers against the people, creating a peasant system. Well, the Bible wants you to believe that we're waiting on the New World Order. I'm telling you, in 3100 BC, the New World Order started, and we've been in it the past 5,000 to 7,000 years ever since the beginning of these religions. The first two big empires to unite was Greek and Egypt. And we say, what happened to those mighty empires? Nothing happened to them. They merged to form the Western world that we are in today. The main two ancient empires that influence American and Western thought are Greece and Egypt. We even have an obelisk in Washington, D.C. We have a Memphis recreated in Tennessee. The pyramid is on the back of your dollar because the New World Order started in Egypt with the creation of Hellenistic ideologies such as the globalism and the Christianity religion, as well as all Abrahamic religions. The word resurrection means rise, erection, because all of this male fertility and sex magic comes from homosexual brotherhoods that still run the world today. And they've been keeping track of this bloodline that they call the Merovingian bloodline, which are the royal families. And they are two families, two testaments from a unification. And I think the New World Order was solidified with the UN treaty, but just to stay on subject, when you hear resurrection, rise, erection, you can see that in this picture here. This is the god Men, or Amun, or Amun, Zeus Amun. is a Greco-Egyptian deity that wears the horns. You must understand, Santos, is that this predates Jesus. This is where Jesus come from. So this is a Greco-Egyptian deity, Zeus Ammon, Jesus' predecessor. And the two horns are the two testaments. The two horns are the two towers, or the two books that make the Bible, which is the bull, the binary bull, the double bull. The Pharaoh was considered a bull. The Bible is the double bull. The lineages of the two kings. So just to wrap this up and make it short, Zeus Ammon wear a crown of horns. That crown of horns is a sun disk or halo, dealing with sun worship. This is what Jesus wore. Horn is the word horn. You just take the T off of it. Zeus Ammon with the crown of horns is nothing but Jesus with the crown of thorns. And the word thorny is really the word horny, because another deity that's associated with these deities is the god Pan, who also wears a crown of thorns and carries the scepter that the Pope or the Christ carries. Pan is a god that is always seen with an erection. Let me show you. Because Pan is men. Pan has his crown of thorns on with an erected phallus. All right. And if you go back to Pan, the goat god, is Zeus Ammon that we see here. So when you talk about a football team that's called, if you look at Zeus here and look at his crown of thorns, they playing with us, because St. Louis was a real Christian saint who put slavery on many people. Called the St. Louis Rams, and they got the crown of thorns on their head. The ram or the lamb, Zeus Ammon with the crown of thorns. But to make a long story short, this is the god Pan as well, with the crown, double crown, and a scepter. This is Saint Nicholas, because Saint Nicholas also carries the bent scepter and a double crown. This is the staff of Moses, because he split the Red Sea. And when we talk about Moses splitting the Red Sea, you can see that the crown of Saint Nicholas is split in the middle, causing you to have two parts, or a bi-bull. All right. Those would be the two horns of Zeus. Men, this is, give me 1 minute. Patient. This is, hold on a minute. I just lost the picture because I went over so much when Santos left that I want to reiterate on it all, speak on it, because it's so much I want him to touch on it. So give me a minute to pull it back up. So let's take that away. Is here. So if you look at the Pharaoh's headdress, it's split into two. That's your Bible, your double bull, your two testaments. Look at his headdress, and then look at Pan's two horns. It's the same thing. They carry a scepter, represent that erection as well. That crown of horns is a crown of thorns, what Jesus wear. And I basically put this up to show you the Pope's hat. That's what I wanted to do. So he got the towers on his head, which are those horns. But I wanted to show you that something else before it slipped my mind. Dagon. So Jesus' symbol is a fish, because the God that predates Jesus, fish God. And if you look at him, he has those two peaks on top of his head that the Pharaoh have, but it's in the form of a fish that represent the two testaments of the Bible, the two testes of the man, the two kings, the Greek one and the Egyptian Pharaoh and the Greek Pharaoh. All right. And that is the Western world ruler and the Eastern world ruler that are ruling this whole earth together under these Abrahamic religions. What you got to keep in mind is this Dagon fish god has a fake beard on, and the pharaohs wore fake beards as well. Let me show you. As you can see here, he has a fake beard. Let me pull up a picture of a pharaoh for you so you can see what I'm talking about. The pharaohs wore fake beards as a symbol of priesthood. They wore fake beards. And that fake beard was also given to Santa Claus. It was given to Abraham. It was given to Jesus. You notice all of these patriarchal rulers, they have beards. They are bearded deities. So when you look up Abraham, he have a beard. When you look up Jesus, he have a beard. Allah, he have a beard. And all of these male bearded deities wear the beard because the beard was a symbol of royalty. Pharaohs wore a fake beard. You will even see a beard on the Sphinx, but they shot the nose off, and I think that destroyed the beard as well. But that beard is something to keep in mind, that the pharaoh have a beard, a bent scepter, as you can see here. If you join a Greek society in college, they give you a cane to step with. You step because the calendar started in March. That's when the Crusades began. That's when the Christians began to march and spread Hellenism onto the earth. But what they're not telling you is that the Christians were a group of Egyptians and Greeks, all enforcing Christianity, just like they're doing today. Christianity is diverse. It was always diverse. Egypt was the first America. The throne of Ammon, American flag. So the deity who wear the double crown is Norma or Jesus or the Pope, ruling us under those two testaments or the testes of the patriarch. And the American flag comes from Egypt, as you can see on this picture, because our way of living comes from Greco-Egyptian Hellenism area of sun worship, as you can see here. And you can still be a victim of sun worship and be a flat earther because you're biblical centered. We should be nature centered. So the double crown represent the double pharaohs, as you can see here. The pharaoh of the Eastern world, a pharaoh of the Western world, unified. And that's why all of it is New World religion. Whether you follow Hinduism or Christianity, Eastern world or Western world, they all serve the Pope. So the earth has been this way since 3100. And when the light came on in Genesis, it was the rise of the first male ruler and the end of sovereignty for humanity. Matriarchal systems for us all. We traded our sovereignty to be ruled over by males, and we won't get it back until we go back to this truth. Now, today we are under national flags, but we used to be under family crests, and the people who own the national flags, they rule us under family bloodlines with family crests. Every sorority or fraternity has a crest. Every secret society has a crest. It's like the womb of a woman. It's shaped like a vagina because back in pre-dynastic time, before the first pharaoh, before the book of Genesis, because Genesis is the beginning of the world, not the beginning of the earth. The earth always been here. So the beginning Genesis talking about is the beginning of the new world, or what we call the new world order. The end of matriarchy and the beginning of patriarchy. Again, the woman and the serpent was cursed in the garden, and Adam was given all the power over the earth. Adam is Atum or Adamu, which is the Sumerian sun god, Apollo, Narmer, Menes. So all secret societies have a family crest telling us we should all have one, because we were all physical people born from a womb, and we're not no stick men. This is why we're not sovereign. You can't be religious and sovereign, because you have to have a reverence to the womb that you came from in order to reclaim your inheritance based on you coming through the womb of your mama. Religious beliefs, you forfeit your natural sovereignty in exchange to be rewarded by the God that you accepted. So this is deep deception that I'm trying to give us, y'all. Now, all of them got family crests, but you don't. You got a national flag, which is a symbol of slavery. All right. I'm trying to get us back to the truth. Now, what predates Christianity is a deity called a Queen of Heaven, which is the Masonic great architect, which is the Kemetic Nut. When you say pregnant, you're saying pregnant. Pharaohs wore this double crown to represent the two testes of the male rulership and the two kings. The double crown was worn by the goddesses. As you can see here, this is Hathor. She was cursed. She was a sacred cow. Today we say holy cow, and we don't know why. Today we say that's bull crap because the bull was sacred. In the Bible, they cursed the bull. They called it the golden calf worship. For you, the golden calf is the great mother. She was cursed, and we traded our matriarchal sovereignty to be ruled over by the testes of the sun gods. That's what Brother Sanchez is trying to teach you all. And learn that this stuff can't be argued with. This is undeniable truth. Queen of Heaven here, all of the children is surrounding her. They're creating what's called a spade because she is the trump card. She's the trunk of Ganesh, or the tree of life, elephant trunk, the bull horn. And she's making a symbol of a card in a deck called a spade, which is the trunk suit. The spade is the mother goddess. Spade is the tree of life. Let me see if I can find it for you. Take too much time. I got it in my pictures. I don't know if I can find it online real quick. But the spade is the great mother we just saw there. Let me see. Yes. The spade is Aphrodite, the Virgin Mary, Venus, or Isis. As you can see here, she's the spade. She predates all patriarchal religions and all Jesus worship. Here she is right here. She's the trump card. She's the queen bee, hive, or the North Pole at the center of the earth. As you can see all of her children around her here, because above her is the stars, below her is the great deep, and around her is all of us, which are the children on the earth. She's the center hole at the center of the earth. And she's surrounded by all of us.
That's so beautiful. I love that picture.
It's the same thing we're looking at here on the spades card. And I know along trying to teach y'all stuff that I've been compiling for longer than that. So I'm gonna be brief and go ahead and wrap this up. But the double crown at the pharaoh, where to represent the testes of the man, is why Eve was cursed in the garden. Eve represents balance or evenness. Adam getting rulership in the garden represents the Pope and chaos over us now. This is why the Bible it has to go. The real Bible isn't written with words. So this is the serpent goddess from Minoan culture. Predates Christianity. They later became what we call Christian, the foundation of Christianity today. So it didn't come from Egypt. It came from the Minoan culture. What you got to realize is Egypt was a world center, meaning there was so much traffic in and out of Egypt that Egypt was a place that was influenced by all of the cultures. It was a melting pot. So when you say that some came from Egypt, I think we should be saying what didn't come from Egypt. Everything was in Egypt because it was a place everyone went to frequently. It was a world center. But prior to Egypt being a world center, Eden was the world center where everyone went to. When we came into Egypt, that's when they started restricting us to travel to certain areas. So now we forget that the true world center is where the compasses are pointing to. Now they got us pointing to Egypt and Greece and to the Bible. I'm pointing us back to Eden, where the magnetic energy of the mother is. That's our true origins. We can't find them in the Bible or any religion. We have to go back to the true book of life, which is you, me, and nature. So here is a picture of the serpent goddess. She's surrounded by two serpents. That became the Pharaoh double crown. See, the woman and the serpent that was cursed in the Bible is this woman here. The Christians turned their back on their matriarchal spirituality and they start adopting pagan religions centered around the worship of Zeus. This happened thousands of years ago. Everyone was being brainwashed by this Greco-Egyptian Hellenistic society, and what we call Western thought was becoming prevalent on earth just thousands of years ago. It isn't nothing new. This way of thinking been thrusted on the world for the past thousands of years, and the Christians abandoned their matriarchal great mother, which was the serpent goddess, and they cursed sin. They cursed the serpent. They cursed the woman in the Bible because they turned their back on the law of nature. The yin yang. Each serpent is a scale of Ma'at. Everyone knew the truth that we can only rule in autonomy or in golden age during the womb, which is the mother that man and woman both come from. Man and woman come from the womb. So the womb was the microcosm of the primordial gateway. The woman is the gateway in and out of realities according to the ancients. So when you look at Ma'at and you see her two wings, which are two scales, you're just looking at the serpent goddess. It's masculine and feminine, but they both come from the womb, which is pure neutrality, or the neutron. At the center of the cell is the neutron. It's in between the masculine and the feminine. So it's not about the what the Pharaoh did was take the balance away from the goddess who balances those serpents, and he began to rule you off of the polarity of them both. So what this means is, instead of us looking at masculine and feminine in unity in a holistic way that connects us with the great mother and mother nature, we now look at them and put one above the other like the Bible does. It puts favoritism above certain people. It puts the sun above the moon. It puts the man above the woman. And that means that the scales are off balance. And whenever you're off balance, that's chaos, or what we call Hellenism. The Hellenist people always ruled the world by creating hell or chaos. And the Christians were called Hellenists before they were called Christians. So this double crown that you see on the head of the Horus Pharaoh here on the right, it represents the Hegelian dialect. It's a way of males ruling out of chaos, out of war, debating one against the other. Sun versus moon. Instead of sun and moon, it's sun versus moon. Instead of man and woman, it's man versus woman. You see, in a Hellenistic society, there is no unity. There are always verses and polarities battling. But in an ancient pre-dynastic mother goddess-based world, there's unity, yin yang, where the masculine and feminine creates the beautiful serpent in the middle. Now, let me fall back after I say this. The two polarities on the crown of the patriarch of Pharaoh represents your Democrat and your Republican, or the two dialogues or dialectics or paradigms that they give you to keep the chaos and divisiveness going. So they'll give you Eastern world religion versus Western world religion, Democrat versus Republican. And this is what perpetuates the chaos and division so that the pharaohs stay in power. But in order for us to get out of that, we have to get beyond the testaments. We have to get rid of the Bibles and understand our true beginning, which is the womb, the mother, the spade, the tree of life. And then we stop pairing the polarities against one another and combine them together with love to form the yin yang symbol, which is life. Now, the yin yang symbol is 360 degrees, not 365. So if you're going to go back with the true law of nature and perfection, you have to have the right calendar. So if you're a Christian and you go with the Gregorian calendar, you're not in tune with nature, because our natural, the way the sky works, is everything moves in a 360-degree circuit around Polaris. Anyone that's pushing the Gregorian calendar are pushing the New World Order deception along with the Bible, which is another form of the New World Order deception. These books that you say are not literal, well, it's 2017 today, based on a book that you compared to Jack and the Beanstalk earlier, Santos. If I was to change the time, change the calendars based on me reading the Three Little Bears, that's exactly what they did. They based the calendars around the biblical bibliology books around a succession of the kings. And now we're under sun time, not natural time. So I can go on and on and on with all of this because there's so much to teach. But I'm going to stop because, again, I don't want to hog it. But just realize that before the Bible or the double bull, you had Hathor. Before you had the two testaments that was on this pharaoh head that we being ruled under the date, you had the two halves of her dress that you see here. All right, the two serpents, the two parts of the scale, or the two hands. So the spiral goddess raises her two hands, and that became the pharaoh's two testaments. But the true law is not under the Bibles and the testaments. The true law is outside in nature. If you don't take care of that water, you failing your children because you're going to have them inheriting polluted water. If your Bible don't make you want to go out and change what's happening with nature, it's going against the true law. And that's exactly what the Bibles and religions did. They built temples on earth when the earth was always the temple. Yeah, I better stop now so I don't be too long-winded. I obviously can keep going on with this, but I'm going to stop there. I said a lot, and I really wanted to ask Santos a question, but basically it wasn't a question. I just wanted to say all of that to see what he think about that, where he stands, how knowledgeable he is with us coming from matriarchy to patriarchy and a new world order, starting with the book of Genesis, 3100 BC. Jesus split the timeline, and that's the deception.
Yep. I hear you. I've been saying this for years, so I agree with you with this. For years I've been saying that we have unbalanced the yin and the yang. And so patriarchy is all about that. The sun now, the sun is the center where he shouldn't be. He should be taking his bride, the moon, as he is the groom, in a fair and balanced way. You know, matriarchy is the source because Radharani is the the force principle of the universe. Without Radharani, there is no creation. So that's how I see it. Theology, as I